With Western soldiers held hostage in Bosnia, NATO weighs its next step against the Serbs. Thousands are missing after a massive earthquake in the Russian Far East. And a murder-suicide in a student dorm stuns Harvard University. This is the CBS Evening News. And this is John Roberts reporting. Good evening. The major NATO powers are meeting tomorrow with a clear message from Bosnian Serbs. They, not NATO, are calling the shots in the former Yugoslavia. Serbs took more UN peacekeepers hostage today in retaliation for last week's NATO airstrikes. And the Bosnian foreign minister was killed today. Alan Pizzi has the latest from Sarajevo.
Even as Muslims mourned and buried the dead from the worst attack on civilians in the Bosnian War, Serbs fired another shell into Tuzla, killing one man. The attacks underscored the Bosnian Serbs' continued defiance of the UN and contempt for NATO airstrikes. The UN is unable to protect civilians or even its own men. Another man the Serbs killed today was Bosnian Foreign Minister Irfan Ljubijankić. He died when his helicopter was shot down over the Muslim enclave of Bihać. At the so-called UN safe haven of Gorazda, Serb forces today took 20 to 30 British troops hostage. The UN was also forced to abandon all but 2 of a dozen observation posts around the Muslim enclave. More than 300 UN peacekeepers are now in Bosnian Serb hands. Some are being used as human shields to deter further NATO airstrikes.
All these actions could only be described as acts of terrorism and flagrant violations of the Geneva Conventions.
The chief villains in UN eyes are Bosnian Serb leader Radovan Karadzic and his military commander Ratko Mladic. The only UN victory in the current confrontation came today when French troops retook a bridge in downtown Sarajevo that had been captured by the Bosnian Serbs. The U.S. aircraft carrier Roosevelt is somewhere off the coast of former Yugoslavia, but so far the UN is holding back on using air power again. This week is being described as the most crucial in the history of the UN peacekeeping effort. Troops on the ground are now looking to New York for decisions that will either force them into a shooting war with the Bosnian Serbs or a humiliating retreat. Alan Pizzi, CBS News, Sarajevo.
A conservative German newspaper is saying tonight that U.S., British, French, and Canadian commandos are preparing for possible raids to free the UN peacekeepers being held in Bosnia. Sources quoted by Die Welt said any rescue operation would be risky because the hostages are being held at a number of locations. Secretary of State Warren Christopher will attend the NATO meeting in Holland tomorrow after a day of discussions with President Clinton and his foreign policy advisors. As Bob Orr reports, the NATO conference will be long on problems, short on solutions.
Facing few easy or clear choices, President Clinton today grappled with the situation in Bosnia. After a meeting of the top foreign policy planners, a White House official late today said the president favors strengthening the UN peacekeeping force, but still won't order U.S. troops to take part.